Alright, just checking. Looks like we are good to go. One last check. Yes. Alright. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another installment of this 2024 season of the ARC America's Formula One Championship. Back here this week at Silverstone after a bit of a blowout week, was it? At Monaco last week. Bit of excitement here and there, but Silverstone certainly will bring the action, if nothing else. We are here following along through some qualifying at the moment. Want to welcome any newcomers, as well as anyone tuning in after doing so week after week. We thank you all alike, and we're good to get going here in Silverstone for the 6th installment of this 2024 season. Qualifying underway. I believe the first one out on track was Aiden McCarthy, currently in the Williams. So will be the first one to set down a lap time. Joined, of course, well, maybe not, as he opts for the escape road on his outlap.
Don't forget to turn on your little track map.
Joined in the booth, as always, by Billy Targi. Bill, how we doing tonight?
Doing good. Happy belated Easter, everybody out there. Happy to be back. Silverstone, place where F1 started, they say. Couple, I believe, Cameron Lopez's home race. So he'll be looking to bring that Red Bull to the front, in front of the home crowd. Originally from Portugal, but transplanted to the United Kingdom, so.
Yeah, a few drivers on this grid who this may as well be a home race for. I mean, can certainly expect them to push maybe a little harder than they would otherwise. But regardless,
Matthew Stotts is making a return.
Matthew Stotts, his return to this 2024 grid, we love to see it. Of course, just a standout performer of last season. Didn't catch any wins himself, however, was a podium contender for much of the season.
Yep, missed a couple races and was replaced by the aforementioned Cameron Lopez from AlphaTauri up to the Red Bull team. Stotts making his return. He made his return to iRacing last night. Obviously, just didn't go quite as well, but he did have the pace there in practice. So Stotts in top form. He'll be looking to make his presence felt this weekend.
A few drivers already making it clear in the chat. Just want to shout out Jamie Knock, who has mentioned this is a home race for him as well. So, I mean,
see it, Jamie?
Plenty of drivers will be looking for a good performance here out of Silverstone. However, given the weather conditions, we're looking at a very cold track the whole way through this weekend. Currently very cloudy, a slight chance of rain through the qualifying session. Probably not going to come, however, as the race progresses, we may see some weather come into play.
Ooh, we see AJ go to the top of the table right there.
127.7, as it is,
Who's that? I'll do investigating.
For the moment, this is Kluka to us. Kluka, provisional pole with the 125.9. Can only imagine that AJ as well as Jonathan Jurgensmeyer were just looking to put in a few banker laps as this session has gotten going, about 2 seconds off the pace. With Jamie Cavanini.
It might be Kobe Luca, because Kobe Luca.
It is, yes. A return from last year's grid, I believe just reserving this season. However, good to see him on the grid yet again. It is provisional pole.
And Cameron goes P2 with a 126.1.
A few banker laps being put in. Can only imagine that lap times will continue to fall from here, of course. I mean, 125.9 for provisional pole position. I'm expecting pole time to be around the 125.1s, maybe down to the 124.8s. Plenty of time to be made up here.
That'd be a stomping lap.
I'd say the range of lap time for pole sitter tonight will be between 124.8 and 125.1. So we should see plenty of drivers dip into the low 125s. Of course, Colby Luca, the only driver thus far after first lap only out on track, who's made his way into the 125s. Taking a look now at the Drivers' Championship, should be noted that just about 3 out of the top 4 drivers in the championship are not present on the grid tonight. Mikey de Jong taking the night off. May see him join later. However, at the moment, our championship points leader is not on the grid. However, P2 in the Drivers' Championship, Nico Pichet, is on the grid, and I mean, it's just one of those situations where you should expect, if nothing else, kind of a bit of a runaway night for him. I think the battle for the rest of the podium contenders will be just trying to keep up with that Ferrari of Nico Pichet. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, P3 in the Drivers' Championship with 51 points, 26 behind Nico Pichet with 77. And then it's Cameron Lopez in P4 with 46, 5 behind Jurg. Jackson Altman taking up P5 in the Drivers' Championship with 35, 11 behind Lopez. And then another absentee driver from the grid tonight, Boryoshi, P6 in the Drivers' Championship with 34 points, only 1 behind Jackson Altman, and I can only imagine that given a good result here from Jackson, it will separate the grid there in the Drivers' Championship by quite a margin.
Who is that driver that had an absolute ace last week in
Believe it was 2 weeks ago in Japan?
yes, Monaco.
Monaco.
It was a woman driving for Ferrari.
Oh, I don't see her on the grid tonight. Oh. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I forget the username, but yeah, oh wow, that was kind of a bit of an in and out performance. Would have loved to see you on the grid tonight, Miss Madam, but for the moment it is the boys club of the ARC Formula 1 series. Colby Luca on provisional pole, Cameron Lopez taking up P2 for the time being. AJ Knickel making his way up to P5 in the AlphaTauri. Impressive first lap for him. As mentioned though, we should expect these lap times to be dropping.
I see who's out on the lap. Oh, and there goes. I forget Casper's name. It's just.
Is that George Knight?
It.
Not too sure. However, following along at the moment.
His name is Casper. It's Casper.
Would you like to follow Jamie Cavanini, Max Bertom for a lap around, Bill?
Yeah, absolutely. Just a slight lift off there. Chuck it around left. Get hard on the brakes. Don't want to get too eager on the throttle here. Usually around third gear. Nice and tight. Drop it down to second. Get on the gas as early as possible. Flat for this bit of a kink here. Gonna hit the first of the DRS zones. Long but short straight. Hard braking again, but you can really carry the speed through here to set yourself up for the next corner. Nice and tight. Bring it out wide, then duck it back in to carry speed. He's just missed a bit, but he is carrying the speed. Get as close as you can as we head towards, what is this, Cobb's corner, where you're just gonna want to stick it flat out, and sometimes the car just doesn't agree. Now the best part of the track, Maggots and Beckett's early downshift for him. Nice and tight through here. Ooh, and he's invalidated. Took a bit too much.
Looks like it, yeah. Took
but
too much curb.
Risk it through there. You can gain a lot of time and carry a lot of speed through there. You can set yourself up for the rest of the lap. Especially when you come down the hanger straight right here. Oh, sets up for Stowe. I mean, it's going to be off or not here. He's just going to duck off into the pits.
Yeah, time invalidated, of course. He did take a bollard with him on the way into the pit lap, and of course, I mean, Silverstone, just a historic track, has been on the F1 calendar for a lot longer than anybody watching this race has been alive.
It's older than my mother. Jackson Altman casually goes P2, just 3/10 off of Casper.
Yeah, the next driver into the 125s besides Casper, that puts Colby Luca down into P3 in the McLaren. In
It's only a
125.
matter of time, though, as we see Nico Pish. What? Oh,
Oh, yeah. Breakneck speed from that Ferrari. Nico Piche inserting himself firmly into the conversation, straight up to provisional pole on his first lap out. The only
no
driver
one's touching
remaining,
that lap.
the only one remaining who had not put out a lap time yet, oh, I'm sorry, besides Ayrton Frederick, who's yet to lay down a lap, Nico Piche coming out of the pits late. Bit to his advantage, though, as he makes his way into the 125 zeros, about nearly 4/10 of a second ahead of Casper as well as Jackson Altman.
And Ayrton's just gonna back out of his lap.
Few drivers already making their way into the low 125s, and it seems like my prediction of pole time being between 124.8 and 125.1 is sort of coming to fruition here. Plenty of time left in the session, of course, for laps to be laid down.
A bit unfair when only one guy can hit that lap.
Hey, I only
just
mentioned him. I said pole time.
I don't. That's a tough lap to beat. That is fast.
Yeah, nearly half a second faster than the next fastest lap thus far. And Nico Piche, we should expect him to be straight back into top form here. Of course, taking the last few weeks off, not able to make it to the grid for the last 2 races or so, I believe. Still sitting P2 in the Drivers' Championship with a few race wins this season under his belt already.
He won Monaco.
Nico Piche won Monaco last week?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago he won.
2 weeks, yeah. On pole already by nearly half a second, and it's just...
to play for him this weekend without Mikey DeYoung here, so... But Mr. Consistent, we don't... Jonathan Jurgensenmeyer all the way down in P12. But, we say this consistently with him. Let's see where he is by the end of lap 2.
Yeah, Jurg, a bit of a spot of bother here for him in the Alpine, of course, sitting P3 in the Drivers' Championship thus far.
He's been a model of consistency all season long and has put himself in a good position in the championship. Just waiting to see Ayrton cross the line. He's the last one to set a lap. He has done 2 laps on these tires, though.
Looks like there may have been a reason for him to bail out on that previous lap, as he comes across with a 127, improves upon his banker lap of 148 by nearly 22 seconds, I believe. Puts him firmly into P14.
He backed out of it on the exit of Beckett's and then just saved a bunch of energy and just, instead of pitting, wasting a set of tires, he decided to see what he had. Not a lot of time left for him to get back in to get another lap.
Yeah, time running out here in this qualifying session, just under 4 minutes, and that's really only enough time for just about 1 lap. I mean, if you're making your way in right now, you only have about 1 hot lap left that you can lay down in this track. So really crunch time.
Justin Rock, team manager of Goat Inc. is Monster Toe. I just went and I checked on the America's signups, and there he is.
Mais oui, on se... C'est la main, c'est le dos?
Correct, Alex. Jeffrey's MBQ.
On va la piste pour Mathieu Stotz?
Could be. Okay.
And as mentioned, this is really crunch time. Of course, you see just about every driver on the grid ducking their way into the pits after their previous lap that they just ran. Few of them will be looking to lay down another. A few of them will be looking to just hang out and sit upon their time, hoping not to scrub another set of soft compound tires. And all eyes on Casper, if and nobody else, I'd say, back out on a fresh set of soft compound tires, currently sitting P2, about 3.5 tenths behind the time of Nico Pichet.
Well, he's up by half a tenth right now, so...
Casper's on an outlap.
I'm looking at Luca.
If Colby's Luca is able to improve on his time as he currently sits P4, he'll be looking at one of the first 2 rows likely, making his way gingerly through Sector 2 at the moment, just about to begin in Sector 3.
Just nice and tidy there. He's up 3 tenths now.
Yeah, and this should be a good time here from Colby. Maybe no advancement. Of course, that gap to Jackson Altman ahead of him, 1 spot, about half a second. However, should close that gap. Yeah. If anything, I'm sure he is expecting to improve maybe 1 position. However, it'll be a close call, and he's not able to do so. He will remain P4. And I believe that will be his last opportunity for a hot lap in this qualifying session. Colby Luca holding on to that 125.5 and hoping for the best.
Big story, Cameron Lopez sitting P5. He's has such pace all season. He's improving on his lap. I don't think it's going to be enough to challenge for pole.
Maybe enough to advance from P5, though. Sitting and waiting patiently as he makes his way through Maggots and Beckett's. Currently weaving his way through Sector 2 and onto Sector 3 he goes now.
Oh, he's up half.
He goes purple through Sector 2. Fastest lap through that sector thus far of the qualifying session. And it's just a waiting game.
There's a lot of traffic in front of him.
Oh, and they are all making space to some extent. However, that may have been just too much traffic. We will have to wait and see as he rounds the final corner, comes across the line, and what will it be for Cameron Lopez? Not enough to advance his position. He will have to start the race from P5, pending the lap times of a few more drivers behind him. Of course, Colby Luca 1 spot ahead, already having run his hot lap. Nico Pichet is out on track once again for another hot laps, looking to advance even further from his pole position. Casper, with the early retirement, not able to make it back out onto the track soon enough to start another lap, so he will have to sit upon his 125.3. A few more finishes in this qualifying session coming across the board as we go on. Ayrton Frederick will be holding on for P14 with Deshaun Davidson right beside him. I believe Aiden McCarthy also the final time of this qualifying session with the 129, nearly 4 seconds off the pole position pace. Early retirement there from Jonathan Juergensmeyer in P10. He'll be holding on to his 126.5. And it looks like Casper has slowed down significantly. May have been some type of issue as we see Nico Pichet making his way quietly and assertively into the 124th, the only driver thus far to do so. And that puts him nearly half a second over Matthew Stotts, who makes his way up into P2. What a great qualifying session from the return contender to the field. Bit of a lackluster qualifying there as we see Nico Pichet hold on for P1, provisional pole with the 124.8. Matthew Stotts will line up alongside him with the 125.3. Casper and Jackson Altman will occupy the second row with Colby Luca and Jamie Knock taking up P4 and P5 respectively. Jackson Altman and Colby Luca taking up P4 and P5. Jamie Knock and Blurry Julio will be lining up in row 3 together, with Cameron Lopez and AJ Canill getting P8 and P9. Tyler Crabtree starting from P10 today, with Jonathan Jurgensmeyer P11 getting bumped right at the last second. Jamie Cavanini and Proxy will be P12, P13, with Ayrton Frederick in P14. And we are good to go here in Silverstone. And I must admit, I'm not predicting a snooze fest by any means. However, I can't imagine that Ferrari of Nico Piquet is going to let up at any point during this race. The entire competition will be just trying to catch him, if nobody else. However, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer may be the surprise here as he lines up P11 as mentioned. Currently sitting upon third place in the Drivers' Championship. He'll be looking to make up as many positions as possible and improve his position in the Drivers' standings as much as he can.
Cameron Lopez not happy with, who was it? With the, Aston Martin driver. I believe that's Jamie Knock, actually. But can't blame the frustration. He was up quite a bit on his lap time, so.
Looks like we are all lined up and good to go for a formation lap here around Silverstone.
Is Piquet glitching for you too?
Slightly. Nothing major, however, I did kind of see that. I didn't know if it was just me. Matthew Stott's here, kind of the surprise of that qualifying session, managing to make his way up into P2. Of course, among the seasoned veterans of the season so far. Casper Jackson Altman. Jackson, somebody that we expect week in and week out to be competing for a podium position, getting beat out by just a bit by Casper and Matthew Stotts in this week. At least as far as qualifying is concerned. Of course, plenty of race left in front of us for things to be determined.
Let's take a look at those tires.
Yeah, shall we? Let's see what everybody, what the strategies are looking like.
Skittles.
And Nico Piquet, it seems, is looking to do his best Max Verstappen impression, as he is one of the only 4 drivers out of 17 starting on the soft compound tires. He's looking to just make a run early and get as far ahead as he can to give him plenty of time for that first pit stop. Matthew Stotts alongside him opting for the medium compound tires, with Casper going for the hards, mediums for Jackson Altman and Colby Luca in P4 and P5, hards for Jamie Knock right behind them though, with Julius Duku lining up on the medium compound. Few penalties being assessed here, pay no mind to them, as that's just kind of how it goes with the weirdness of this game. If you line up just a bit outside your pit box, then it is all the penalty is. We have 5 lights on and we are lights out, and away we go here in Silverstone, with Nico Piquet, of course, getting a good getaway. Matthew Stotts sticking with him well, reading the lights, if nothing else, and Nico Piquet is already lagging to some extent. Hard to follow along with this car.
Ooh, Stotts get a lot of wheel spin there. But everybody's away nice and tidy. See Jonathan Jurgensmeyer trying to go around the outside of AJ. He gets into the back of Tyler Crabtree, but they escape.
Yeah, not too much trouble there in the back, as Jonathan Jurgensmeyer does manage to make his way up into P11 for the time being. And it's game on from here. Matthew Stotts holding on to that P2 position. He will be on the chase for P1. Of course, though, with Nico Pichet starting on those soft compound tires and Matthew Stotts on the mediums, it'll be a uphill battle for sure.
Here comes Casper. Thought about it.
Yeah, looking up the inside of Stotts here, but does wisely back out. Not looking to push the issue too early into this race, as we see, of course, as should be expected, Nico Pichet already taking the fastest lap of this race. As fuel levels drop and as tire compounds change, I do not expect us to see too much change in that fastest lap department.
There's a bit of a glitch on my screen with the intervals.
Yeah, a bit of weirdness as far as network connection is concerned. I mean, for me especially, with that Ferrari out front, he's just moving all over the track. It's hard to gauge exactly where he is at any given moment just because of the lag that we're experiencing with him. However,
luckily he's made a gap where I don't think it'll become an issue for him.
Has built himself out enough of a lead where it should not really matter at the current moment. Of course, once he gets other people racing alongside him, after, say, a pit stop or whatever may come his way, we may see some more trouble. But for the time being, it is a 3-second gap that he's already worked out in front of both Matthew Stotts and Casper, who is right along the tail side of that AlphaTauri of Matthew Stotts.
Yeah, Jackson Altman right behind them both too. See a couple cars down the tail end of the grid as we see Jonathan Jurgensmeyer having off there.
Want to shout out, of course, Madison Tashiro for the comment left, and as well, I mean, if there are any newcomers in the chat tonight, if you would like to be racing alongside these Masterclass ARC F1 racers, I mean, the choice is yours. The links are down in the description. You are free to sign up. Everything is right there for you. Just want to point that out. Early enough for us to be able to mention it later in the race as well. Nico Pichet building himself out about a 4.2 second lead at the moment.
AJ seems like he's got a lot of pace today. You love to see it.
Yeah, AJ Knickel, very comfortable here around Silverstone. Of course, has been racing it for years on end at this point, but already up into P7.
Alright, now he can sit back, relax, and he is absolutely gassing through his energy deploy.
Positions being swapped around some of our podium contenders, though, as Jackson Altman takes the place from Matthew Stotts.
Jonathan Jurgensmeyer's out of this race. A VSC has been deployed. The model citizen, the model consistency.
Oh man, the silent assassin, our personal favorite. He has crashed out and the virtual safety car has been deployed, following along with Ayrton Frederick to see if we can come upon the scene of the crime. Does not look like we will be able to see very much from this view.
It's important for these guys not to get drive-through penalties by speeding under VSC. Got to stay near the limit, but not over the limit in terms of your delta. We've seen this happen throughout the season and throughout the seasons.
What is the regulation 40%? 40% maximum speed during VSC?
Yeah, but also you got it on your dash. You should be able to. It lights up in big letters for you to see. So zero excuses.
Yeah, Nico Pichet kind of taking advantage. Already built himself out about a 7-second lead.
And there it is.
Down to 6 already, with Casper getting a good getaway off the ending of that VSC. However, Jackson Altman all over the tail end of that Alfa Romeo.
Stotts is just hanging on for dear life at this point. He is having handling issues.
And I mean, Nico Pichet, we should expect it from him one way or another, but the 7-second lead that he had just been holding prior to the VSC has already been worked down to about 4.5, a little less.
That doesn't make a lot of sense. It felt glitchy there, but it must have been to do with the speeds, perhaps. Either way, what a race so far for Casper. We saw he had the pace in Singapore, looking to get a good finish.
Yeah, certainly holding on thus far in the race. Should also be mentioned Tyler Crabtree representing Furta Boyce Racing in P8 at the moment, already making up positions. Will be looking to make the move on AJ Knickel soon enough.
And
Currently
here
about
comes
3.5 seconds
Cameron
back.
Lopez. He gets the move done on Colby Luca. And AJ Knickel right behind him too. Remember, AJ did start on the softs, but he's using that to his advantage by maximum pace. He has got a pretty good gap.
Yeah, up into P7 for that AlphaTauri.
Jonathan Jurgensmeyer saying in the chat, he is so washed. We all know that's not true.
Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, one of the top contenders of this field. I mean, just unfortunate to see him ending his weekend so early. Somebody that we are always keeping eyes on and is always performing one way or the other. I mean, just such a shame to see him crash out at the point which he did, because I mean, usually he is the one navigating his way through all that kind of trouble, starting P12 and making his way up to P5 or whatever it may be because of those types of issues. But this weekend unfortunately saw him caught up in it, as we see the first penalty assessed of this race, I believe, to Julius Duku.
Oh yeah, and Stott's handling troubles are continuing. He cannot keep the rear end.
Yeah, not able to keep the McLaren of Colby Luca behind. Colby making his way up into P5.
Got passed by Cam and a 3-second.
Oh yeah, that AlphaTauri just proving a bit too much for him to handle this time out. He will be racing from P6, sitting upon that penalty.
And at this time, AJ looks like he's got a bit more pace under him than his teammate.
Yeah, really does. AJ Knickel holding down that P7 spot. Well, maybe racing for P6 if we continue to see issues from Matthew Stotts. Should be mentioned, of course,
the rear end.
Matthew Stotts having started from P2, already making his way down to P6, getting passed by some of the more veteran contenders of this grid, now ducking his way into the pits, and you can only imagine there was some trouble, as AJ Knickel has a bit of a strange line through that chicane, may have been following his teammate to some extent. Matthew Stotts straight into the pits and retiring, and I mean, for the P2 start,
a rage quit.
That's what you call a... Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe a lack of confidence, maybe a mechanical issue, not clear to tell as far as is concerned for that AlphaTauri, but Matthew Stotts, our next retirement after, of course, Monster, retiring from P15, so that is already 3 drivers down. Only finding ourselves on lap 7 at the moment, as we see some local yellows being deployed for Sector 1.
Yeah, that's Stotts' car coming out of the pits to retire as opposed to staying in the pit box, which it used to in past games.
See, that's strange to me, because it seemed that as soon as he pulled into the pits, he retired, so it seems like the game automatically sent his car back out.
Yeah, that's what it does. It used to not do that in past games. If you retired in the pit, it kept your car there, so as to not cause a hazard. We saw what happened almost in Barcelona with that retirement in the pit. And it's
Oh
not the
yeah.
driver's fault. It's just the AI takes over. We saw the frustration out of Stotts. The 5 seconds for speeding in the pit. The battle with his former cars. Cameron got his elbows out, got by him, and then it seemed like he was struggling with the rear end grip, and then he just raged on out of here.
I mean, should have been a podium contender given his starting position. However, the next shoe to drop will be that of Matthew Stotts, as we now race with 14. Nico Pichet building his lead out to about 7.2 seconds at the moment, and growing as time goes on. Of course, having started on those soft compound tires, his whole strategy is to get as far ahead as he can, and whatever time he loses for his first pit stop will just be taken off of the gap that he's already made over the rest of the grid. Must be mentioned though, Casper in the Alfa Romeo, I'm sorry, doing very well to hold down that P2 position, if only for a moment as Jackson Altman slips up the inside on him for P2, and it's game on here for these two.
Let's tell you what, of all the problems Jackson Altman's had in the past, so far this season he's been brilliant. He's been consistent, rapid. He's sorry, artist formerly known as Zane.
The shot caller, the Babe Ruth of the ARC F1 series.
I'm gonna get a podium, hits a wall. Does that, hits a wall. You admire the spirit. But no, he's been great thus far this season.
Casper maybe looking to make a return move here on Jackson Altman, kind of tucks back in, not able to make it happen through that end of Sector 1. Now as they go into Sector 2, though, will be an interesting fight coming down the back straight. Not quite close enough.
Cameron and Colby were in the battle for P2, and they've dropped off significantly.
Yeah, seems like, if anything, I think those local yellows for the removal of the Alpine may have screwed them more than anything. As we see Casper making his way up the inside of Jackson, and they're just playing a bit of leapfrog at this point. Next penalty assessment being doled out, this time to Aiden McCarthy in the Williams P11 at the moment. 3 seconds for a track limits violation.
AJ's gonna pit. See what compound he uses. Such a long pit lane here too. Just agonizingly slow.
And with AJ pitting, that leaves the closest battle on track being that of Casper and Jackson Altman for P2.
I think they're just using each other to sustain a gap. Fit Carlos Sainz, Lando Norris.
I mean, if nothing else, it's interesting, just given the fact that Jackson is on those medium compound tires with Casper only about 0.2 ahead of him on the hard compound. And you gotta think, is either one of those drivers pushing their tires just a bit too far past their schedule? Of course, there is a schedule taken into the strategy considerations as we see Jackson Altman making his way up the inside of Casper that time, and the leapfrog continues, Casper ducking right back in behind him, and will be looking to make the return move on the next DRS straight, which we should expect from that Alfa Romeo. But the question remains, is it Jackson overusing his tires, or is it Casper underusing his? Of course, only lap 11 thus far. Only time will tell.
Nearing the halfway point already. Moving along quickly. No safety cars, just the one VSC.
Well, VSC is a safety car, no?
Yeah, true. I stand corrected. No true safety cars.
This is, yeah, no major incidents thus far. I mean, we've seen minimal contact. Seems like most drivers around Silverstone are pretty comfortable with the layout. Not much trouble thus far. However, the battle for P2 is very strong. Casper sticking right with Jackson Altman.
And Cameron's fallen off a lot as well. He's fallen into the clutches of Tyler Crabtree. I say that, Tyler goes wide.
Jackson Altman should be mentioned, of course, as it was just a few minutes ago, on the more favorable compound of tire. However, Casper still able to keep just right up with that Red Bull. I'm sorry. Not much trouble coming the way of the Alfa Romeo thus far. I mean, just kind of tucking in. It is Nico Pichet, of course, ducking in off those soft compound tires. It'll be onto the mediums for him. And you have to imagine, is this his strategy for the rest of the way?
Well, if he can go 12 laps on a set of softs, I'm sure he can do 14 on a set of mediums.
Only time will tell as he falls down the order, of course, given his pit stop. He will be released in P6, I believe. Maybe P7 will be racing Proxy. Is that George Knight by chance?
No. Proxy is... That is... AJ...
Gonsalves. Yes, AJ Gonsalves, Proxy, racing from P7 against our previous race leader, and maybe looking to just bunny hop off of him. If he can stick with Nico Pichet well enough, then he'll be able to take the tow right up into maybe podium contention. However, already the gap growing to nearly 1.7 seconds between just those two, as Casper and Jackson Altman will be duking it out in the lead of this race thus far. Nico Pichet storming his way back up. However, it is Casper making the move on Jackson Altman for the lead here at Silverstone. Of course, on the more unfavorable compound of tire compared to that Red Bull. It'll be defense from here on out. You can only hope. I mean, any more pushing he does 13 laps into this race, just about halfway as mentioned. I mean, Casper is setting himself up for disaster, if nothing else, if he continues pushing against Jackson Altman as hard as he has been thus far. Jackson's sticking right with that Alfa Romeo.
Yeah. Not sure what Casper's going to do. I think he might extend and just go on the... Well, we've seen with Tyler's... Pichet's strategy that you can extend the life of these softs, so... Oh, VSC deployed. For what, I'm not sure. Julius Dooku and...
Yeah, not too sure. It looks like it may have been towards the back of the pack.
I think it was Jamie Cavanini. As the leaders are going to take advantage of this and come in.
Yeah, looks like it. Bit of a spin there at the back of the pack from the Haas.
Except for Cameron Lopez doesn't make it in.
Jackson Altman just kind of playing to whatever the call of Casper is at this point. Nico Pichet, of course, opting to stay out.
Yeah, VSC has already ended.
Yeah, we are back to green very quickly. Nico Pichet, through the trouble of the leaders pitting, making his way back up into P2, chasing down Cameron Lopez for the lead of this Grand Prix. Finds himself about 7 seconds back, and I believe the What is the AWS graphic they usually show in this situation? I believe Nico Pichet's time to strike is about 4 laps, maybe less, maybe 3.
2.5. Over under.
Nico Pichet, obviously the favorite to win this one. He is P2 in the championship. However, it should be noted that he is only P2 because of the fact that he has missed so many races thus far. He is the leader of just about every stat. Every race, all 3 that he has participated in, he has won as well as picked up the fastest lap. So plenty of points going to that Ferrari. And it's just kind of a matter of if he's able to do the same this week. As Cameron Lopez crosses the line and takes lap 15, it is Nico Pichet chasing him down, now within 5 seconds, and I think Billy's call here is a bit more accurate than mine would be. 2.5 laps till he catches him as opposed to 4.
I can't even ride on board with him. It is just, oof. Yeah, let the record show, quote the Carter, nevermore. Cameron Lopez leading the lap at his home Grand Prix. Gotta feel good for the young.
Yeah, it's at least one under his belt. It should be noted. Let the record show absolutely. Cameron Lopez will cross the line in the lead of this race, and it will go down in history books regardless.
But Nico is the car.
Oh, he is gaining rather quickly. Gap now down to about 2.5 seconds from the 7 seconds that I mentioned about 40 seconds ago.
Oh boy, and I can notice the tire strategy is Casper got the softs and Jackson got the hards, so this
Let's
might
take a
solidify
peek.
this battle.
Taking a peek now at the tire detail after that previous virtual safety car. Nico Pichet on those medium compound tires that he originally pitted for. However, it's Casper on the softs that may prove to be the surprise here as he makes the move around the Red Bull of Jackson Altman for P3. Nico Pichet, of course, with the fastest lap on that one.
It should be noted, Cameron has not stopped yet, so he will need to stop. But Pichet's already there. Oh yeah, he's in striking distance now. It's just under half a second.
Yeah, things really heating up as Nico Pichet has just kind of picked his way through this podium contention. Back up into P2 and right on the tail end of Cameron Lopez at the moment.
Surprisingly, wasn't able to get it. What the?
Oh, bit of a twitch there, kind of unclear to see as, right into the tail end
Oh,
of
come on!
the Red Bull. It's hard to see what exactly happened there as his internet is just abysmal.
He just lagged into Cameron. Like,
Yeah,
come on. Not
Nico
only are you
Pichet
5
with
seconds faster than everybody, but you just don't have good enough internet. You're taking out people. That's
maybe
insane.
it seems he's playing on that Boost Mobile hotspot. It's not clear, however, he's made his way into this lead rather unceremoniously and rather questionably. This being, of course, an America's Series tournament, and it's just picking his way through the grid on the advantage of lag, if nothing else.
It's BS because now Cameron can't get that. Normally that penalty would get taken away because, that obviously isn't his fault. He got slammed into. But nope, Cameron still got a pit, and that's going to cost him in the pit. He's going to be held for 5 seconds.
Yeah, interesting race here thus far as we see a questionable lead taken. It's just I cannot follow along with this Ferrari as the car is just so far all over the track. And I mean, as mentioned, being an America's Series race, the fact that this type of thing is sort of allowed is a bit questionable. His lag is just way too much to be handled by many of the other drivers. Cameron Lopez probably did not know where to go on that corner in which Nico Pichet passed him. It's just questionable, but beyond questionable.
It's just not fair. And the crazy part is too, Pichet lost his whole front wing, but because the fact that he probably didn't even see anything, he just saw, from his point of view, he probably just saw Cameron go off. Oh, I didn't notice, but Julius Dooku has retired in the pit. So we are only down to 13. Hey, and to be fair, Jackson Allman has kept up um with Casper. Jackson being on the harder compound, but
Yeah, I mean, at this point, of course, it is Pichet's race to lose. The gap already 8 seconds from Cameron Lopez in the Red Bull, P2 at the moment. And I mean, how can you race around something like that?
he can't. But either way,
It's,
we still got a good battle here for second place. It's these two who have just gone at it all race.
Jackson
Altman and
Altman
Lou.
creeping up on Casper for that final podium position.
Yeah, he's stuck around surprisingly well with the harder compound. Oh, and we got a yellow flag loop. I think that might be Cavanini moving out of the way. Nope, he's had a spin. Either way, back to the battle. Either way, Jackson Altman and Casper are on pace for a podium. Danny Cavanini not really getting out of the way for the blue flags.
So lap count winding down here as we find ourselves on lap 20 of 26. It is crunch time for these drivers as we've been seeing the tire detail. Cameron Lopez holding on those hard compound tires that are nearly 20 laps old, and I'm sure he will be
Oh,
expecting to
he's
finish
got a
the
flat.
race on them.
He's got a
Does he?
flat.
Cameron Lopez? Oh, it looks like he is going rather slowly. Oh, rather
The front
unfortunate
left
for
is
that
flat.
Red Bull.
He's driven the car too much.
Those 19 laps on the hard compound tires may have been just a bit too much.
I've never seen that. Oh yeah. If you just double tap triangle, Alex, you could just get rid of all the UI. You could just see that as the tire just goes. It's gonna be really hard for him to take comps.
Yeah, a lot of balancing there.
That's gonna be tumultuous on his hands on the wheel. Meanwhile, P2 and his teammate are coming through. They're gonna have to navigate. Oh, he moves out of the way. Very smart. Cameron just said, screw it, threw a Hail Mary and tried to stay out as long as possible. just avoiding pitting as long as he can because he knows he's going to have to take a penalty that is, well, frankly, I'll say it, it's not warranted.
Lopez ducking himself into the pits from P4 because of it, understanding the situation, and that's going to drop him down really far. I mean, just unfortunate for that Red Bull driver.
Yeah, and there it is. He has to serve a 5-second penalty before they can even touch the car, and he's putting intermediates on. So this is, you can see the frustration. He is between being blocked and qualifying, and then what just transpired at his home race. Oof, tough race for him. But his teammate is well in the thick of it for P2 as he continues to chase after Casper.
Yeah, looks like it. The closest battle on track, of course, being that for P2. Jackson Altman trying to catch the tail end of Casper in the Alfa Romeo.
Running out of laps to do it. If he could just push Casper, though, to take a lot out of those soft tires, but he's got to be a lot closer than this, put a little bit more pressure on him. Ooh, Ikuka just getting a lot of wheel spin. Again, want to mention AJ Kaneko, solid race so far, P6.
Yeah, quietly making his way up, and of course, that's kind of been his story thus far. The rain has started to fall. We can see on the onboard of the drivers, there are drops coming down at the moment as Jackson makes his way up the inside of Casper for P2 here on lap 22.
Oh no, those hards are going to be rubbish in the wet. Casper right back on the tail end.
Casper right up into the rear of that Red Bull. Is it enough here coming down the backstretch?
Yes.
It is enough. He goes up the inside, however, Jackson with a bit cleaner of a line there as Casper will duck his way into the pits. Interestingly enough, here on lap 23, that leaves Jackson clear to run for that second podium position. And who will it be?
To warrant it. I don't know.
Who will it be for that final podium position? I don't believe that it is Bill. I'll be honest with you. I think they'll be able to. I think they'll be able to race it out for the rest of this Grand Prix without much issue. Of course, maybe not. I may have given commentator's curse there to Jackson Altman as he has a bit of a janky exit coming out of Sector 1.
DRS is still enabled. That's usually the benchmark. As soon as it gets disabled, you know the track is too wet. But it is picking up. Oh.
Jackson Altman just holding on by a thread, taking a look now, of course, at the tire details.
Oh, maybe that's what Cameron was doing this whole time, was waiting to just go on to the inters.
Cameron Lopez currently running P9. And it is only him and Casper in the point-scoring positions who have opted to pit for more reliable tires given the weather situation. However, I can't imagine that much will change here at the top as Nico Pichet is just running away with it. But we see Jackson Altman ducking into the pits from P2. The Red Bull from the second position into the pits. He will be opting, of course, for the intermediate tires. The McLaren, all hopes rest upon the shoulders of that McLaren of
Tyler
Colby
Crabtree
Luca.
stays out.
Tyler Crabtree
Was
also
AJ
opting to stay out on his hard compound tires.
AJ Knickel stays out.
Oh, and things are getting spicy here at the end, folks. That is for sure. I mentioned it at the beginning of the broadcast for qualifying specifically. We saw some clouds forming. We did not know whether they would become an issue in the race or not, but very much so they have here at the end.
Ooh, this is for Colby and Tyler. This is an unexpected position to be in. And this is, I just don't know if it's not wet enough. I don't know. It's hard to judge if Pichet's struggling, but Colby's struggling, Jackson's struggling. AJ's on a bit of he's on a softer compound, so that will help. Jackson is coming back, though, at AJ because he did opt for the intermediates, but everybody's running out of laps. And I don't know if Casper's decision to... This is gonna be sketchy. Maggots and Beckett's is not something I would want to drive through as Nico Pichet starts the final lap, but there's a battle for P2 between two unlikely heroes here.
This battle is heating up. Of course, given the weather situation, this is going to be interesting regardless. Both Colby Luca and Tyler Crabtree opting for the hard compound tires for this stint. Racing it out here for P2.
Oh, no.
And this is the tightest battle on track. It looks like he will. Oh.
Coming in. Oh, it's a 3-second. Ooh, that's a bit risky. AJ willing to stick it around the outside. You love to see it. But either way, AJ stick it out did catch him up a good few positions with one lap. Can he hold on to... Surprisingly, Alex, we've had no spins due to this inclement weather either. Everybody's been holding it down. And we see the first, second, and third are on hard. So that's got to be absolutely hellish. This is awesome. Oh, Tyler sending it. The McLaren lets him go.
Oh my goodness. Lot of slip, lot of slide.
These two drivers are racing great considering. This is awesome. Now this is how you end a Grand Prix, Alex. This is fantastic.
This is amazing. I mean, Colby's sticking right to the tail end. If AJ can hold on to that P5 position, I mean, this weather situation has really just thrown everything up into the air as Nico Pichet crosses the line in first. As expected, here he is, the winner of this Grand Prix, but Tyler Crabtree may have something to say about that P2 position, with Colby Luca sort of losing a bit of pace here on the back stretch as they come around through Sector 3.
This is, it's going to be real tight. It's so easy to get off throttle in the dry here. Oh, they kept it neat and tidy. Either way, for Colby and Tyler, no matter if
wow, what a That was great racing through the end for Tyler Crabtree and Colby Luca coming home in P2 and P3 respectively. Jackson Altman holding on for P4. And man, that rain. Oh, I must say, that rain.
That was exciting. That's how you end the grip. There is a moth in here that I swear to God.
Oh, the final point scoring positions being filled out at the moment as Nico Pichet comes across with the win here in Silverstone, of course. Tyler Crabtree and Colby Luca filling out the rest of the podium. Jackson Altman holding on, as mentioned, for P4, opting to duck in for intermediate tires given the weather situation, and it's sort of paying off as he makes his way back up into P4 for his troubles. However, it is those behind him that managed to stick it out that were able to pick up the final podium positions. And man, what an interesting race there at the end. Of course, we saw the two early virtual safety cars, but things really changed for the worse for most of the drivers come the end of the race.
Yeah, you see Colby and Tyler immediately getting onto the chat and congratulating each other. They raced each other. They raced each other clean. That was doing it on hards. Listen, I get racing in the rain, but like as a driver, being out there on anything other than inters is bad. But you want the softer compound tire. But having the hards in that situation, they weren't playing it. AJ too. AJ was ripping Maggots and Beckett's with the medium tires, which is impressive. There was guys in the back I saw struggling on just the soft compound tires, and some guys I saw struggled on the intermediates. And those three dudes, well, obviously Nico Pichet stood out too, but it was hard to judge if he was struggling. I won't lie, but I want to say Tyler, Colby, and AJ really handled those intermediate conditions beautifully. It shows a lot when you can. Unfortunately, you saw what happened to Lando at Russia a couple years ago, where he tried to extend it, but these guys actually did it. So, drivers of the day, shout out to those three guys. Absolutely. But look at Tyler from 10th
Oh
to 2nd.
man, driver of the day it has to be. I don't believe it is, but Tyler Crabtree, what a performance there,
I wish
sticking
I
it
could
out
give it
for
to all three of
P2.
those guys. I don't know if you're riding on board with AJ, but AJ, like, I saw Tyler and Colby being very tentative through Maggots and Beckett's, but AJ was just fully ripping it, fighting with Jackson around the outside of Club Corner. He was, he deserves it too. That was a good one.
What an interesting race there at the end. I mean, we were kind of worried we wouldn't get one, but of course it turned into one, if nothing
Oh, that
else.
was. it was we had a bit of a low spot, so it's crazy how much moisture just changes the complexion of anything, Alex. You catch my drift. Sorry, I was just trying to get a drink and I almost just stepped on my cat. Now is yeah, we gotta let me try and get
Believe we're
Colby
getting
Luke
some
in here.
podium finishers in here. I
Yeah,
believe Tyler Crabtree also has to make his way in.
let me try and add Colby as well. I don't think we have Colby, but I will go ahead and search for him. See Luca underscore, I believe. Found him. All right, we'll go ahead and invite him. Wait for him to get in here.
How we doing, fellas?
All right. Let's start off with Colby. Uh, there's a lot to ask, but mainly, were you guys expecting rain? Was that predetermined going into the race? And how did that factor into your strategy call? And honestly, just walk us through that at the end, because you and your respective podium finisher, Tyler, were on the hardest compound tires with a lot of wear, trying to navigate slush-like conditions, man. Walk us through it.
Yeah, so before the race, it didn't give us anything for rain, so I'm like, oh, sweet, dry race, and then about lap 10 or so, it said rain 10 to 15 minutes, and then it kept saying that and came out the middle of nowhere, really. Yeah, and the hards were not great at the end. They were sliding all over the place.
I mean, you guys were absolutely like rip. Was there any thought to pit, or were you just fully committed when you saw where you were on track? Were you just fully committed to try and stick it out for the remainder? Like, what was it, 4 laps?
Yeah, absolutely not. I was not pitting. I've raced in the slicks in the rain before. It's not that bad, but that time with the wear that they had, it was pretty bad.
Well, not bad. This is your maiden podium in ARC?
Uh,
Take a bow, sir. It's your first podium. It's a P3, and yeah, man, what a way to do it. You had to certainly pull the balls up and get her done. But congrats on a P3, man. Good race.
Thank you.
Tyler Crabtree. Same,
How we doing?
same set of questions, man. You started a bit deeper in the field, uh, but again, you worked your way up methodically. Got some, you pit during one of the VSCs. Were able to get out ahead of a couple of your competitors, and again, that rain. Were you thinking, screw it, we're just gonna fully send it, see what happens? Teammates not here, try to maximize points. Just kind of a Hail Mary. What was your thought process there?
I mean, yeah, I started like 10th, so from there I kind of had to fight my way up. Had a good first stint, and then I really don't like the mediums in this game. The hards are way better for me. So when I kind of tried to extend a little bit, and then I put me behind some cars. I think it was up to like 6th or something. And then after that I was able to push through. A little lucky, but not too bad. And then once the rain started, I think it was like 5 to go. I was like, unless it's a monsoon, I'm not pitting. There's no way. I can't give up. I think I was in 5th, and then it kept going, and then I ended up in 3rd at that point. I was like, there's no way I'm giving up a podium to rain.
You you were not going to be beaten by moisture. You love to see it. Uh, well, that's a solid result, man. That's is this your first podium of the season?
Yeah, definitely of the season. I think it's the second one I've ever had in F1 here.
Well, it was impressive, man. You guys, you and Colby took advantage of the situation and you maximized it. And I gotta say, the two of you racing too, it wasn't nefarious. You guys were very clean, especially given the circumstances you both were in. You guys really treated us to what seemed like a pretty dull race up to that point as Nico, checked out. But you two brought the raz there at the end. So both of you, great driving. Thank you for putting on a show, and congratulations to both of you on the podium.
Thank you.
All right, Alex, why don't you tip the cap and get us out
Yeah,
of here?
not able to get Nico Pichet into the booth, of course, but we want to thank him, obviously, for putting on a good show for all of us. Always a good race when he manages to make his way out. Beyond that, though, we want to thank DiveBomb Motorsport, ARC's premier partner. DiveBomb, the collaborative new media project by motorsports fans for motorsports fans. Make sure you check out their new website redesign as they have integrated a lot of new partnerships and whatnot. As far as ARC is concerned, a lot of new things that they're doing with us that maybe you want to check out. Make sure you check out the DiveBomb website. Thanks, of course, to Sim League Pro, ARC's league management partner. You know them, you love them. That's where we go for all the up-to-date information on any given race series that is going on with ARC. Also, the premier place for you to be able to sign up if you're a newcomer by chance. Make sure you check out simleaguepro.com and see what ARC has going on over there. To SimWrap Market, we want to give a big thank you. ARC's premier partner for iRacing related liveries, designs, decals, and whatnot. It's a marketplace of professional level livery design templates, cutting edge custom graphics, designs, number sets, and plenty more. If you are an iRacing participant and you want to check out new liveries, make sure you check out SimWrap Market. To IMB Racewear, we want to give a big thank you as well. ARC Sim Racing apparel sponsor. From gloves to boots to whatever you may need for your sim racing setup, make sure you check out IMB Racewear. The Racing Rats, we want to give a big thank you to, as always. I mean, I am a personal fan. This is ARC Sim Racing Assetto Corsa modding partner. They're putting out high quality free mods. Emphasis on free there. Working closely with the ARC moderators to put together good mods for what we are looking for. And last but not least, we want to give a big thank you to James McAdam Photography as well as AJ Knickel Design for all the work that AJ Knickel Design specifically does as far as thumbnails and media and whatnot is concerned for ARC. So to all of those sponsors, we want to give a big thank you. And of course, oops, sorry, got a sponsor message. I was just checking. We want to give a big thank you to our sponsors. And as always, we will see you for the next time out here in the ARC Formula One series. All right, from here, signing off. Oh my god, AJ's new sponsor list got me tripped up. Sorry, y'all. Good race, though. Good race, as always.